Logo fades into view. New York Association on Independent Living.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the second webinar in our 2023 webinar series. I'm Blaise Bryant, the communications specialist here at the New York Association on Independent Living. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. The chat is set to go only to the panelists. The reason we are doing that is for accessibility purposes for people who utilize screen readers. As you know, we have ASL and CART for the webinar. There is going to be a survey that shows up at the end of the webinar. If you would be so kind as to fill that out, that would be much appreciated, because we are always looking for A, new ideas for the webinars, and B, how to make the webinars more, well, really how to make improvements or to improve the webinars is the best English. So now that the housekeeping is out of the way, I'm going to turn things over to Jenna McCloskey, who is the outreach coordinator and such for the New York ABLE Achieving a Better Life Experience program. She also works with the 529 college plans as well. So without any further ado, Jenna, take it away.
Thanks so much, Blaise, and thank you everybody for joining today. It looks like we've got a really nice crowd today, and I think Blaise is recording this for people that couldn't attend today. I'm just going to share my screen, pull up my PowerPoint real quick. So again, thank you so much for coming today. I'm really excited to either tell all of you about the New York ABLE program if you are unfamiliar, or give you a little refresher. We've had a bunch of changes in the past 6 months to a year, some updates to the program. So I'm looking forward to sharing all of that with you. So a little bit of history on the program, especially for individuals who receive SSI benefits. They are only allowed to have $2,000 in their own name before their benefits risk getting suspended. So traditionally, people receiving benefits have been unable to save money in their own names for either emergencies or, long-term savings, retirement, a house, a car. They've been traditionally unable to do so because if they have any kind of savings in their name, their benefits can get suspended. So their options previously have been things like third-party trusts, which are great, but there's still some barriers to access with programs like that. So that's where the New York ABLE program comes in. So federally, the Stephen Beck Jr. Achieving a Better Life Experience Act became law in 2014. The ABLE Act authorized the creation of ABLE programs by all of the individual states. Currently, there is over $1 billion invested across over 125,000 ABLE accounts nationwide. And New York's ABLE Act was signed into law in December of 2015. We were publicly announced by State Comptroller DiNapoli in October 2017, and we've been run out of his office ever since. Some of the first changes we had last year is we redesigned our website. So if anyone's familiar with the website, that was enhanced last year. And it includes improved accessibility functions for people with limited vision. And it also includes Spanish translation of our website and all of our program materials, which is great. In July of last year, our state residency requirement was removed by Governor Hochul. So now any qualified individual in the country is able to open an account with New York ABLE, and New York ABLE account holders who move out of state do not have to close their accounts. They're able to take their New York ABLE account with them, which is great. As of the end of 2022, New York ABLE had over 2,500 open accounts. with over 24 million invested since we launched. I think at this point we're over 26 million invested. And also since we've launched, ABLE account owners have withdrawn over $13 million for their qualified disability expenses. This means that the accounts are really being utilized as they were intended. So people have money invested, they have money there for savings for an emergency or whatever their particular needs are, but they are also spending the money in their accounts as they see fit, which is great. People are having access to their own savings, which is a wonderful change for people. So New York's Achieving a Better Life Experience program is intended to help individuals with disabilities and their families to save for their disability-related expenses, to earn income on their investments free from taxes as long as they're used for their qualified expenses, which we'll get into the definition of in a little bit, while maintaining their ability to benefit from SSI, SSDI, Medicaid, and the other federal programs that they rely on. So who's eligible for a New York ABLE account? Right now, you have to be a U.S. citizen or a resident alien. So you need either a social security number or a tax ID number. And you have to have a disability that was present prior to the age of 26. And just to clarify, the disability only needs to be present prior to 26. So you do not need to be under 26 to open the account. And technically, your diagnosis doesn't even necessarily have to be by 26. You just have to be able to certify that your disability was in place by then. In addition to that, you need to meet one of the following qualifications. You do not have to meet all four, just one. So if you're entitled to SSI or SSDI due to your disability, then you would qualify. If you are classified as blind, as defined by the Social Security Act, then you would qualify. If you have a disability that is included on Social Security Administration's list of compassionate allowance conditions, then you would qualify. And there's obviously a list of those conditions on Social Security's website and a link to them on our website as well. Otherwise, if you don't meet those three bullets, you basically would just need a doctor's note. So the actual definition of what you would need, it's wordy. I'm sorry, Marion. But you would need a written diagnosis from a licensed physician documenting a medically determinable physical or mental impairment that results in marked and severe functional limitations that can be expected to last at least a year or can cause death. So that's basically just the definition of a disability. This is probably not the first time I'm going to mention this, but we are considered a self-certified program. So when you sign up, whether you fill out a paper form or you go on our website, you get to certify all of these things yourself. You do not have to send us any proofs. So the only time all of these proofs would come into play is if you were to be audited by the IRS. That's when you would need to prove that you did indeed qualify for an ABLE account, and that your purchases were qualifying purchases. You would just have to show that to the IRS. You do not have to show that to us. So just to clarify that you don't need to send any of these proofs into us when you open the account. So some things that make New York ABLE accounts a little bit different than the accounts you may be more familiar with. So with a New York ABLE account, the account owner is also the beneficiary. They are the same person. And that is in contrast to accounts like a special needs trust or a college savings account. With those accounts, the person with the disability or the child in the case of the college savings account would be the beneficiary, and the parent or grandparent or trustee would be the account owner. So the money is technically in their name, not in the person with disability's name. So the nice thing about a New York ABLE account is if the person with a disability is able to manage their own finances, then they have full control over their own account. They are the account owner and the beneficiary. So they can access the funds whenever they'd like, quick and easy to remove the funds. They don't need to go through any third parties like a trustee or an account owner, which is great. Eligible individuals can only have one ABLE account nationwide. So that also differs from a college savings account or special needs trust. And anybody can contribute to the New York ABLE account, which is great. So friends, parents, grandparents, they are all able to help the account owner as far as the contributions go. But the total account balance of all of the contributions need to stay under the annual contribution limit, which we will get to. So who can open a New York ABLE account? This is one of the places where we've had a lot of changes in the last couple of months. So initially, if the eligible individual, if the person with the disability is capable of managing their own finances, then they get to open the account for themselves, no problem. If they don't want to be managing their own account, they can assign someone to manage the account on their behalf, whoever they'd like to select. If the individual lacks the legal capacity to manage their own finances, so somebody else has to be opening the account for them. Previously, that had to be a power of attorney or a legal guardian. Now we have an expanded hierarchy of who is allowed to open that account. So again, if the person does not have capacity to open it for themselves, then again, power of attorney could still open it. A conservator or legal guardian could still open it. But below them, a spouse, parent, sibling, or grandparent of the eligible individual would be able to open the account without sending us any proof of guardianship. And the biggest change, I think, is that now a representative payee appointed by Social Security is allowed to open the account. So that means now, people that are living in group homes, in residential facilities where a rep payee for the organization is managing all of the other aspects of their finances, now that same person or that same organization can open the account on the individual's behalf as well, so that people in those types of situations are able to save their excess funds just like everybody else. The one thing that authorized individuals opening the account would have to certify when they're opening it is that because it's in the hierarchy structure, they need to certify that no one above them in the hierarchy is ready, willing, and able to open that account instead of them. So in the case that a parent wants to manage the account and the rep payee wants to manage the account, and in terms of the hierarchy, the parent would take precedence, so the parent would be able to open that account up. But I think a lot of the time, since the rep payees are already managing so much of the individual's finances, we're hoping that we don't have too many conflicts, that everybody would be happy with the rep payees being able to open those accounts. So what are qualified disability expenses? Qualified disability expense is defined as an expense that is incurred as a result of living with their disability and is intended to improve the health, independence, or quality of life of the eligible individual. So these expenses include, but are not limited to, the following: things like education, health and wellness, housing, transportation, legal fees, financial management, employment training and support, assistive technology, personal support services, oversight and monitoring, and funeral and burial expenses. So this is one of the things that I said before. You would want to save the receipts and save those justifications whenever you're spending the money from your account, just to hang on to in case you're ever to be audited. You don't need to send the proofs or the receipts into us. You would just take a look at that definition, familiarize yourself with it, and familiarize yourself with these examples. And every time you're going to spend the money in your ABLE account, you just, again, look at that definition, look at those examples, and decide whether you think that what you're about to purchase qualifies. You obviously are still allowed to have money outside of your ABLE account Even if you're an SSI recipient, you're still allowed to have that $2,000 in your own name. So all of the different places that you have your money can all work really nicely together. So if there's something that you're a little unsure if it would qualify as a qualified expense for ABLE, you can use your other funds for that just to be safe. But if you think that it qualifies, just save the receipts, write down your justifications on those receipts so you don't forget, and then you just have it in the event that you are to be audited, just to prove that all of your expenses were qualified. If there was ever an event of something not being qualified, it would just be a tax penalty. So you would be taxed as if that purchase was income for that year and have a 10% tax penalty on top of that. So, hopefully the stakes aren't too high, so you're not too worried about it. But that's, that should be worst case scenario, is a tax penalty. So some of the more specific numbers when it comes to New York ABLE accounts. You are allowed to contribute up to $17,000 annually. So as I said earlier, that would be the combination of everyone's contributions. So if your parents or your grandparents or your friends want to give you gifts or give you, regular contributions to your account, that's totally fine. But all of them combined have to stay under $17,000 a year. Although if you are an income earner, if you make money for a living, you may be eligible to contribute an additional amount up to the federal poverty line for a one-person household, or your annual income, whichever is less. So there's more information on our website for who qualifies for that program and who does not. The maximum account balance total is currently $520,000. And all of the contributions are monitored by our program. So if you ever go over any of those limits, we will contact you and we will give you a refund for any of those excess funds. So the only difference from that last screen is for people with SSI. So this does not count if you have SSDI or Medicaid, just specifically for SSI recipients. They need to keep their balances under 100,000 in their ABLE account, because anything over 100,000 will be counted by SSI as a resource. The same way right now they count anything over $2,000 as a resource. They say that they will count anything over 100,000 in your ABLE account as a resource. So with that annual contribution limit, it still would take people a very long time to get to 100,000. But it's just good to keep in mind so that you don't wind up risking your benefits at any point. So New York ABLE offers a range of investment options. We offer 4 portfolios that consist of that range from conservative to aggressive options, and an FDIC insured checking option. The checking option automatically comes with a debit card, and you can order checks from us. So the checking account option makes it really quick and easy to spend the money in your account. But any of the money in the investment accounts can be accessed at any time as well. All you'd have to do is either sign on to the website or give us a call, and you can request a withdrawal from any of your options. And you can choose any combination of these 5 options. Does not have to be one or the other. Any combination you want, you can choose. So this is a bar graph of what the investment options are made up of. So you can see the aggressive option is made up of about 85% stocks and about 15% bonds. As you get more conservative, there's obviously less stocks, more bonds, more cash, until you get to the checking account. That of course is an all cash option. So a lot of people are unfamiliar with investing, not very experienced with it, and don't know which options they should be choosing. There is a whole page on our website that is designed to assist you in making those decisions for yourself. They include questions like, what expenses do I want to save for? When am I going to need this money? What is my risk tolerance? And that is all because you can see by this little chart on the screen, the aggressive option, for example, has the most potential for gain long-term. It can grow more than any of the other options can grow. However, it equally has the most potential for loss at the same time. That's just, what happens when you have money invested in the market. So typically what people would choose is if they're looking to invest really long term, if they're looking for saving for retirement or a house or a car, maybe they would be more comfortable with an aggressive option because it would have the time in the market to withstand the dips, the ebbs and flows of the market. If you're looking to spend your money on a more regular basis, if you want it for, copays and medical costs and regular monthly bills, then you might choose a more conservative option or a checking option because that's not as at risk in the stock market. So, we do not have any advisors at New York Able that can tell you which options are best for you. But again, we do have a page on our website called the What Kind of Investor Are You page that is designed to help you ask those questions to yourself and figure out which options you think are best for you, because everybody's situation is different. So everybody's going to be choosing a different combination of investments and checking with New York Able. So to talk about our fees for a little bit, if you choose any of the investment options, right now there is a 0.4% asset-based fee on the assets in those accounts, 0.4%. The checking option has a $2 monthly fee, but that $2 is waived if you have an average balance in your account of over $250, or if you choose the electronic delivery of your checking statements. So it's nice and easy to get that $2 a month waived if you wish to do so. In addition to that, we have a quarterly maintenance fee, and this is just the fee to keep the program going, to be able to continue offering it to people. That quarterly fee is $11.25 per quarter if you choose the electronic statements, and $13.75 per quarter if you choose paper statements. This quarterly fee is charged once for the entire account, not per option. So that means if you choose multiple investment options, or you choose the aggressive and the checking option, that fee will be divided in half, or divided equally amongst your options. It will not be multiplied. So it's not going to cost you an extra fee to choose more options. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. So some additional options that New York Able has available to account owners now. You are able to roll over from a 529 college savings account to an Able account with no federal or state tax implications at this point, as long as it's done prior to January 1st, 2026. So the nice thing about that is if you already had a college savings account in place and you either didn't go to college or you've gone to college and there's additional funds left over, a lot of time people are hesitant to just withdraw those funds because there would be a tax implication for a non-qualified withdrawal from the college savings account. So now an additional option available is rolling that over to an Able account. So you have easier access to that portion of the money with no taxes or penalties. And you can still use it for educational purposes, but you can use it for, many other things as well, which is great. There's also the option of a federal tax credit called a saver's credit of up to $2,000 to help account owners to save for retirement. And there's more information on both of these options on our website if you need more information. So all the different options to contribute and withdraw funds from your account. You can contribute by sending us a check in the mail. You can set up payroll direct deposit so that the money comes into the Able account every paycheck without you even having to worry about it. You can sign into your online account and request a one-time electronic funds transfer or set up recurring contributions that way so that they're coming on a regular basis. Like we said, you can roll over from a 529 account or another state's ABLE account. And there's also an online gifting option called UGift. This is one of my favorite options because it allows account owners to easily have their friends or family, whoever they'd like, help contribute to their accounts. Sometimes people want to give a monetary present for someone's birthday or for the holiday, and they are afraid to do so because they don't want to negatively impact that person's benefits. So now with an ABLE account, you can sign in and get your UGift code, which basically just looks like a coupon code, and share it with whoever you'd like. And those people are able to go onto the UGift website, type in your code, and then they can contribute easily to your account. The really nice thing about it is it allows other people to help out an account owner, but without the account owner having to share any protected information. So they can share their UGift code instead of sharing their account number or their social security number. The only thing anyone can do with their UGift code is contribute to their account. So I think that's a really nice option for people. To withdraw funds from your New York ABLE account, you can always call us at our toll-free number anytime, or, I'll give you the hours at the end, during the last slide. If you have the checking account option, you can always use your ABLE debit card or a check. So it's nice and quick and easy to spend the money from your checking account. You can set up one-time request or automatic withdrawals from our website when you sign in as well. And you can always download a paper form from our website also if you're more comfortable with that. So to enroll in New York ABLE, you would either download a paper form, again, if you're more comfortable with that, or you can just go online to our website and click enroll. From there, you would need to have the eligible individuals' identifying information. So you would need their name, date of birth, social security number or tax ID number, and phone number, their basis of eligibility, and their category of disability. And then you go on to choose your investments. So all 5 options are listed, and there's a box next to each one where you would put in the percentage of every future deposit that you want going into each of those different options. So you can have 100% just in the checking or just in one of the options, 50-50, however you want to do it. And you can change those options for future contributions whenever you'd like. And there's a lot more information on our website under the investment tab and in our disclosure booklet. So if you're looking for more detailed information about everything we've discussed today, that's all in our disclosure booklet. And you can get started with as little as $25 or $15 with payroll deduction. So on the screen right now, we've got all of our information for contacting us. So our phone number is 855-5NY-ABLE, ABLE. And we've got operators on those lines from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. We also participate in the New York State relay system for anyone that is hard of hearing. And our website is mynYable.org. So obviously you can visit us there 24/7 anytime. So that is all for my portion. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we can get to question and answers. I see that questions have come in the chat box, so I will start with them. And if anybody has any further questions, you are welcome to add more to the chat box. Let me see the first one. In a past year, New York ABLE gave advice that a 17A guardian must have an order specifying guardian of the property. Has that restriction been removed? That's a wonderful question. So that goes into one of the changes that we've had recently. That change just went into place in November of last year. So previously, if you were opening an account on behalf of the disabled individual, then you did need power of attorney or guardianship of the person's property. And we would ask for those proofs to be sent to us in the mail so we could make sure that you had the legal capacity to open an account on that person's behalf. Now we have that expanded hierarchy. So if you have no relation to the eligible individual, then you would still need if they have no capacity to open the account or designate you, then you would still need to have guardianship of property or power of attorney. But if you are the spouse, parent, grandparent, sibling, or rep payee of the eligible individual, then you would not need to send us those guardianship papers. You would just be able to open the account as their parent or as their rep payee. And that, like I said, that is something that changed in just the last few months. So hopefully that makes it a lot easier for more people to have access to the program, because we know there were rep payees that wanted to open accounts. We know there were parents that didn't have guardianship of property and didn't necessarily want to get guardianship of property. So now those parents are able to open the accounts. Let's see. Can I give an example of what personal support services might look like? So again, we are a self-certified program. So that would be up to the account owner or the authorized individual to define and justify for themselves. For me, I would say if a person needs an aide or an assistant to come with them to, an outing that they might be going on, I would see that as a personal support service. Anybody, Grizel, anybody else can pop in, Blaze, if you have any ideas of something else that might qualify. But again, the biggest takeaway is that it is up to the account owner or the authorized individual to make those decisions for themselves. So you are your own best advocate. If you can justify that purchase to yourself, then you should be able to justify it to the IRS and provide the receipts, and you should be good. But like I said, anybody else? Alex, it looks like you might have an answer to the question, or no? I just saw a little pop up.
Oh, no, I didn't have any answers to that.
No, okay.
But I would agree that you will have to justify that to the IRS, but also,
Right.
Under the, the ABLE account is federal, it's federal program.
Correct.
Administered by the state. So check any federal guidance that you might be able to find online.
Correct. And the federal guidance basically so far is just that qualifying disability expense screen that we had on earlier with the definition of the qualified disability expense and those examples. Those are all directly from the IRS, and they seem to want to keep everything very broad. They seem to want people to be able to have the independence to make those justifications for themselves, and not have to be nitpicking every single purchase they make, is the guidance that they've given us so far.
Yeah, I mean, Jenna, the one thing I was just going to add on that,
Yeah.
this is Blaze, is I, as many of you know, or some of you know, I do have a seeing eye dog, and I do, use my ABLE account to, for his expenses, whether that be for
Absolutely.
his flea and tick or his food, toys. That's a different story. That I don't do.
Right.
But any vet bills or things of that sort of nature, because I do consider a service animal or my seeing eye dog to be one of those
Absolutely.
personal supports, or
I agree.
whatever
Yeah,
that
that's a
language
perfect
is.
example.
Yeah,
Exactly.
just to kind of put a human example to that.
Exactly. So next question I see, for funeral and burial expenses, is it only for prepaying for such expenses, or can an authorized person pay using their ABLE account for funeral and burial expenses after death? It can be either one. So in the event of an account owner's death, once we are notified, the estate or the next of kin will get a letter in the mail from us letting you know that first thing you can do with us is let us know if there are any outstanding qualified disability expenses after the death. So whether that's outstanding medical expenses, housing expenses, funeral and burial expenses, the estate would notify us, letting us know how much those are so we can disperse those funds. After that, if the individual has Medicaid during the time that their ABLE account is opened, Medicaid is allowed to recapture up to the amount that Medicaid paid for that person's medical costs during the time that the ABLE account was opened. So after the qualified disability expenses are dispersed, then Medicaid can come in. And if they either didn't have Medicaid or there's still money in their account left over after the Medicaid recapture, then all of the excess funds will just get rolled into the estate. But yes, funeral and burial expenses can be prepaid out of the ABLE account, or their loved ones can let us know the costs afterward so we can make that disbursement. Can the funds be used to acquire real estate for living expenses? So again, it is completely up to you. You have to make those justifications, but housing is one of the examples that was given by the IRS. So, so I would say, if you're, whether you're using that for rent or a house, it would be up to you. Certainly things related to your disability would qualify. So if you are making your house more accessible, that would be a great expense for ABLE. But again, anything that's not directly related to your disability, you would need to make that decision. You would need to look at that definition and look at those examples and decide for yourself. Because again, the IRS is not has chosen not to give us further guidance because they want to keep it open to individual interpretation. What is the monetary limit for SSDI? So I assume this is talking about the maximum account balance. So like I said, for an SSI recipient, you're only allowed to have $100,000 in your account before SSI starts counting the money in your ABLE account as a resource. With any other benefit program, or if you receive no benefits, that's not an issue. That's not in play. So you would be able to, with SSDI, have the full $520,000 available to have in your ABLE account before you hit the limit. Got a question from Aaron. It says, technically anything improves the quality of my life based on the definition of qualified disability expenses. What are specific examples of items that would not qualify? I've never gotten a straight answer on that, or who judges it. So there is no straight answer on that. It's the same answer we've been giving. It's completely up to you. But the answer of who judges it is the IRS. So it is only in the event that you are to be audited, then you would give your receipts and your justifications. As far as we are aware, there has been no case with ABLE accounts in the entire country where an account owner has been audited and been told that something doesn't qualify. So we really don't have a good picture yet of something that would definitely not qualify. It really does sound from the IRS guidance like they want it to be up to interpretation so that you can make those justifications for yourself, is what it sounds like. So if you think something is related to your disability and is intended to improve your quality of life, then then you get to use your ABLE money for it. But again, you just save the receipts and save your justifications. So if need be, you can justify it to the IRS. Who manages the investments that are stock-based and which accounting firm certifies the results? I'm not positive about the accounting firm certifying the results. That you might want to check our disclosure booklet on our website for. But we do, our program manager is a Census, which is the same program manager for the New York 529 College Savings Program. And we use Vanguard funds. So that is who we go through for all of the money. Are you able to direct your will to leave money to an ABLE account? If you are not positive, if Hannah is asking if she is an ABLE account owner that wants to leave it to another ABLE account owner, or if she is not an ABLE account owner and wants to leave it to an ABLE account owner. If you are not an ABLE account owner and you're just a parent that wants to leave money to your child's ABLE account, you can certainly leave money to them, but it would have to stay under that $17,000 annual limit. So this is where all of the options available to people work really well together. So if there's going to be a $100,000 inheritance, then it might be a good idea to have a special needs trust as well. So 17,000 can go into their ABLE account and the larger bulk amount can go into their special needs trust. And maybe they can, talk to the trust to have the 17,000 transferred over every year. So that's a great way to make all of these programs work really well for them. If you do have an ABLE account, one of the newer options that we have available is you are able to designate a successor beneficiary or a successor account owner. So you're able to just sign into your account, fill out a form, and put, if in the event of the ABLE account owner's death, if something happened to them, what other ABLE account owner they would want the money going to. So that would be if there's, two siblings that both have ABLE accounts, something like that. In that case, you still have to follow the order of operations for after the death. So money would still be paid out for qualified disability expenses. If there is Medicaid in play, then Medicaid would still be able to come and recapture. But after all of that, if there's money left over in the ABLE account, then instead of the money rolling into an estate, you can designate it to roll over into another family member's New York ABLE account. So we've got another question. I already have a special needs trust for my son, which I can add assets to the trust and it won't affect my son's benefits. So yes, of course, special needs trusts are a wonderful option for people as well. There's always pros and cons of everything. And everybody's situation is different. That same person said the only benefit would be the investment not being taxed. So yes, that is a very big benefit, is that the investments can grow and can be removed tax-free as long as they're used for qualified disability expenses. So again, this is where you can really build a nice portfolio for yourself or your child to get the maximum benefits from all of these different options for them. So as I think, especially for a disabled individual who has the capacity to manage their own finances, the ABLE account is hugely beneficial for their independence. So instead of having to ask their father and a lawyer and all of that for their money, they're able to spend the money themselves, make their own decisions. For people that maybe don't have capacity, so it would still be the father managing the account, it's still nice to, again, have another option that can grow tax-free. And possibly, I'm not sure about all special needs trusts nationwide, but it's possible there's lower fees in the ABLE account. So again, it's nice to have the combination of all of these options to maximize all of your benefits. If you have SSI, how much can you earn to contribute to a New York Able account. So there is no limit at all as far as New York Able is concerned for how much money you can make, or even a requirement that you receive benefits. So you could be making six figures, having no benefits in place at all, and still benefit from an Able account. Again, your money can, no, thank you. Sorry, my dog's getting a little restless. Your money can grow tax-free and can be removed tax-free, which is great. So it can be an extra savings account for you. It can be used either instead of or in addition to a health savings account or a flex spending account. The pros of the Able account over that is that the money doesn't disappear at the end of the year. So you can keep saving if you don't have as many medical expenses that year. So again, you know, you might have an income limit as far as SSI is concerned to qualify for SSI, but as far as for an Able account, there's no income limit in play. So you can have an Able account and contribute to it no matter what, as long as you have a qualifying disability in place prior to 26. During the application process, is the account under the disabled person's name? Also during application, is there a section to give access to the legal guardian or parent to manage the funds? So again, if the disabled individual has capacity to manage their own finances, then they would open the account themselves. They open the account, they manage the account, and they have full control over it. If they do not have the capacity, then the account would be opened by and managed by the authorized individual, whether that's the parent, sibling, rep payee, it would all be managed by them. Technically, they would still be the account owner and the beneficiary, but the authorized individual would be the one whose name is on the debit card and who has full control over the account. So if there is a legal guardian or a parent in place, then they would be the ones opening it and managing the funds. But there's not a dual system in place where the disabled individual controls the account and the guardian controls the account. It's kind of an either or. As a parent of a child with Down syndrome, could I open the account on behalf of my daughter and contribute to the account? Absolutely. So again, the one limitation is needing the disability to be in place prior to 26. You do not have to be an adult to have an Able account. So obviously with Down syndrome, you know when the child's born. Sometimes you know before the child's born. So the second they get their social security number or tax ID, you can open the account on their behalf, and you can be saving either for their ongoing expenses or be saving long-term so that they can have control when they turn 18. Okay, I am an employer and have an employee who is eligible for our 401k and has a New York Able account. How can I contribute as an employer to our employees' NY Able account? So as an employer, you would still want to make sure that all of the contributions are staying under that $17,000 annual contribution. But it's kind of up to you and up to the employee. They can either share their UGift code with you, and you can set up recurring contributions through the UGift website, or they can give you the direct deposit form, and then you would have all of the account numbers there to be able to continually make contributions as well. Let's see, trying to see if there's some of the questions aren't questions, they're just comments. So I'm just weeding through them a little bit. If you are a parent, have power of attorney, and your paperwork is in for guardianship, what would you check for the hierarchy? That wouldn't really matter for the hierarchy because they're all the same person. But the easiest thing to do would be to check that you're a parent. Because still, if you are a power of attorney, if you open it as a power of attorney or as a guardian, we would need to see that legal paperwork to make sure that you have the legal powers to open an Able account. But if you open it as a parent, then you don't need to give us any of those proofs, and the account is just opened right away. If the account holder has Medicaid, how does that affect their eligibility for the New York Able account? Again, it doesn't at all. New York Able account, you need to have a social security number or a tax ID and have a disability that was in place prior to 26. And, you know, that's basically it. So if you have Medicaid, you can still have Able. If you don't have Medicaid, you can still have Able. Either way is fine. Did I say there would be no taxes when transferring from 529 to Able? We had a 529 for our son. As the account owner, H&R Block said he earned interest over the years that was subject to federal taxes, but was exempt from state taxes. Yes, so if you transfer, again, it has to stay under that annual contribution limit. But if you want to transfer from a college savings account to an Able account, as long as it's done prior to 2026, it's possible that that will be extended, but at this point, the end date on that is 2026. As long as it's done by then, you can transfer with no federal or state tax implications. How come the money needs to be tracked if it's not federal money to begin with? The issue is more the earnings portion. So the federal government through the Federal Able Act and all of the state governments through their state Able Acts are agreeing that the money in these accounts can grow tax-free and can be removed tax-free as long as they're being used for qualified disability expenses. So that's the reason that it needs to be tracked, is because the stipulation on the tax-free status is that it's spent on qualified expenses. So it, you know, again, if there ever was an audit, they would just need to prove that it was a qualified disability expense so that there weren't any tax implications on those earnings in the account. If the eligible individual is not required to file income tax returns, would the Able account require tax filing? That would honestly be a question for a tax professional, not for us, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think I would be able to answer that one. Is it better to set up the Able account for my child at the age of 18 after she receives SSI benefits? Either one is totally fine. You know, again, the earlier you open it, the more money you can have saved for her. You know, so you can start a little nest egg, but you can open it up after she turns 18 as well. But if she has capacity to manage her own finances, then at 18, she would be opening it up and managing the account for herself. What happens to the funds in the account upon the account owner's death? You know, we did discuss that. So again, qualified disability expenses would be paid out first, then Medicaid recapture, and then it would go into the estate. Oh, okay. Cats opened a door. Sorry. Let me see. Can you use auto pay with that account? I assume that means use this account to auto pay your other bills, would be my guess. And yes, absolutely, especially if you have the checking option, then you'd be able to type in your checking account numbers or your debit card number and be able to set up auto pay just like you would with any other checking account. What is the process to transfer from another state's Able to New York Able, as you can only have one at a time? So you would open up the New York Able account first and then fill out a transfer form. So you would put in all of the information that's being asked, and between programs, we would be able to transfer all of the money over for you.
Just a point of you know, facilitation here. We've got about
Yes,
2
of
minutes
course.
left here, so feel free to,
Okay.
at your discretion, just hit the top 2 or 3 questions here, and then we've got to wrap it up. And for any follow-up questions, definitely reach out to Jenna or the
Sounds
folks
good.
over at New York Able.
Yes, and Blaze, I don't know, since the chat is only viewable to the panelists, is there a way that I can give everyone my phone number or email address for further questions?
If we will send that out in a
Okay.
follow-up.
Perfect, perfect. So yeah, any questions that anybody has after the presentation, can contact me for any of the questions you have. Quick one, just wanted to confirm that out-of-network mental health therapy would be covered. Absolutely. I feel pretty confident in being able to say that. That is directly related to your disability. It's a medical cost. That's a great place for ABLE to step in, is to supplement the other programs, like out-of-network costs, things like that, where your other programs fall short. That's a really great use of an ABLE account. Let me see. How is this different from a Medicaid pool trust? I'll let this be the last question. Again, just like with the special needs trust, I think with a pool trust, an ABLE account has a much larger definition of what can be spent. So as far as I'm aware, you can spend money on more items from your ABLE account than your pool trust. Also, lower barriers. So you're able to have quick and easy access to your own money, instead of having to go through a third party to request it. And in the event of an account owner's death, I know with a pooled trust, the money gets dispersed into the pool for everyone else. With the ABLE account, it can still pay out your qualified disability expenses, and excess money can be rolled into the estate for your loved ones. So it's a really, again, a really good option, because I know ABLE accounts don't work as a spend down. So if you are an income earner and you're using a pooled trust as a spend down, ABLE does not work for that. So again, that's a great reason to have all of these accounts, to be able to maximize all of your benefits. We just hope that ABLE can be one of them.
So Jenna, thank you so much for such a terrific presentation as always. I want
Thank
to,
you for having me, Blaze.
Absolutely. The pleasure is ours. To all the attendees, thank you so much for joining us. We will send out some follow-up info, with everything that you need. I know we were not able to get to all of the questions. I want to thank our ASL interpreters and our captioner, as well as to my teammates here at the New York Association on Independent Living, or NILE, Lindsay Miller, our executive director, and Alex Thompson, who, in addition to his role in advocacy, director of advocacy, spotlighted the interpreters. So it's a team effort here. Again, there is a survey at the end of the webinar here. So please, if you would be so kind to fill it out, let us know what you think. Any ideas you have for future webinars, let us know. With that, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.